relationships can be difficult. This means you should align yourself with someone who's more compatible with you. Have you ever had to ask yourself, is this the person I really want to spend the rest of my life with? Have you evaluated yourself and paid enough attention to your partner's repetitive actions and intentions? Do you know or trust them enough to make a lifelong commitment? Don't waste your time or anyone else's. Search yourself, know yourself, and be yourself.
Good night, everyone. My mic is unmuted. Praise the Lord. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on another episode of LewweChat. Tonight we are talking about Entangled Part 2. If you missed last week's episode, you can always go back and watch it on our YouTube channel. Yeah. So I just have with me my special guests, Trey Kamabach, Janelle, and Soini Matthews. Thank you guys for joining. And guys, good night to you. I saw some people in the comments already. See Mario, Dominique, and Kivana. Good night to y'all. How y'all doing tonight? Let us know. Trey, so your mics are muted.
You flipped the script this week.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Yeah. So, how y'all feeling tonight?
Feeling good. I got these laying up yesterday, so you know.
Are you laying up?
Yeah.
Okay. No need to brag about that.
Whoa.
But yeah, tonight we're going to be getting into another aspect of entanglements, or relationships and issues that could occur in relationships, and also going to be looking at some solutions as well. So what we want to really start with is by asking, can people of the opposite sex have a solely platonic relationship, or their hidden sexual or emotional impulses? So when we ask this question, everyone in comments, you can let us know as well. When we ask this question, we really just want to know, like, can that friendship be truly platonic? Is there someone in that friendship who secretly, is attracted to the other person and just disguises it with so many different things? Yeah, how do y'all feel about that, Trey?
Yeah, I think it's possible for persons of the opposite sex to be genuinely friendly with each other. I just think that society puts a lot of pressure on people to make things more than a friendship. So, like, if you see a man and a woman together, the most thing I hear automatically is, oh, two of them dealing. And even from the male perspective, there's always this pressure on men to, like, be able to be intimate with women in their lives, and sometimes that pressure then spills over into their friendships, and they're actively trying to, like, exploit that friendship so that they can get that conquest that makes them a man.
Interesting. Janelle, you seem awfully quiet and soy.
600% back Trey's comment just now. I really feel like men are constantly pressured to prove something by capturing whoever female friends they have around. As for women, I mean, I can say that it is completely possible. I have a lot of platonic male friends. I have no romantic feelings towards them. Pretty sure they have no romantic feelings towards me, and it's that kind of friendship is really amazing. And once you have it, you should be really grateful for it.
Yeah, I concur. But I will say that it may not be easy for some. It may not be easy for some to keep things as platonic. There are men, unfortunately, who may have underlying hopes because they're friends with someone who, is attractive to so many other people. And, maybe that begins to shed a different light, or they see the friend in a different light, and, they want to perhaps explore that if it's something that's on the table or something that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I have had issues in the past having male because in my head and mind, it was solely platonic, but they may have thought more of, me being kind or me extending certain things or,
Right.
just what
Interesting.
I would consider a friend to be. And that may have somehow sent some wrong signal. And so it didn't work in some instances, but I do agree that it is possible to have platonic relationships with the opposite sex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's completely possible. And I did some research, and interestingly enough, it was showing that men are much more attracted to their female friends than vice versa. And they had this whole list of reasons why, like the men will always have this different perception of the relationship. And as you always saying, it could peer pressure could play a big role in that as well. But sometimes it's just I don't know, like men just feel the need, like they will try to keep it as platonic as possible, especially if the female has already established her boundaries or if she's already in a relationship. They might try to suppress the feelings or not, think too much about it or whatever. But yeah, research has shown, and it's something that I have seen over the years. Like, and I've had female friends who would be kind of oblivious to that fact, and it would be like, man, he's just, ain't nothing, so he ain't got no feelings to me. But then they don't know how men think, right? So then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if you feel so, but then it's take time for them to actually realize that this person had quote unquote hidden agenda, the whole time. So yeah,
Yeah.
Ivana is saying, I guess it depends on the situation. I believe male and female can have a friendship without anything attached. However, there are some who get emotionally invested over a period of time. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. And I personally have some female friends that we've been friends for years, and because I look at them as sisters, honestly. So there was
Exactly.
never, yeah. So it was never like no thought cross in my mind at any time, and it being completely transparent with y'all. Like, what if I, just just did something or started to pursue them for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
It never came to mind because that relationship started so pure and so platonic. Like, I don't think any of us were in relationships at the time, so it was not even that was in the way of us becoming close, or
Mm-hmm.
it just clicked, and it was just like, yeah, we sisters, brothers, whatever. And it grew like that. I even remember a time someone was asking, Glenn, what happened you doing? Try to chat. So and so. I was like, but fam, like when they said that, it was literally cringy because I really felt like this person was telling me to chat no my sis. That's what it felt to me.
Exactly.
Wow.
So yeah. So then
Mm-hmm.
like, I get the peer pressure thing too. So it depends on that situation and that relationship and how that person actually views the relationship that is there. But yeah, guys, in the comments, you can let us know. So we already established that they can have solely platonic relationships, but what are some of the things you can see coming out of that? Some issues you can see coming out of of males and females within friendships as well. So we want to talk about when a relationship is involved now, how that is perceived on both ends. So we're gonna start with talking about, okay, let's say um I am someone is in a relationship, and the guy doesn't like her male friends because of their closeness. Every time they meet, they're hugging up each other, and these different things. So then he's like, something would have happened in the past to him that made him on edge. But then
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's like if you're so on edge about these things because you're just on this earth with males, you're on this earth with males and females. So males and females can be friends at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So in that scenario, what do you guys see going around there?
Let me get my
Several
notes.
things. The
Go
first
on, Gina. Go
the
on.
first thing I'm going to say is that to me, that is a personal problem because it is your own insecurity that you are
Mm.
projecting onto a completely platonic friendship.
Mm.
Like, and I had a close friend who was gay, and the boyfriend at the time was like, I don't like how close you are to him. And I'm like, you are literally creating a problem
Yeah.
where there is none. I also believe that honesty is imperative. And for me, if this person is my close friend, you are going to be around them a lot as well. So
Mm.
you guys start to form a relationship as well. Obviously, you should be respectful of your partner's feelings, but I'm not the kind of person who, once I get into a relationship, I ditch all of my friends, like, bye, I have man now, and just go along and
Yeah.
follow the man. Like, that's ridiculous to me. And I just think that there needs to be transparency as well, especially
Great.
if it's a friendship where you guys tried something romantic at some point
Mm.
Mm.
and then that you decided to go back to being friends. I think your partner should be aware of that. Other than that, fix your insecurity and stop bothering the people business.
Thank you, Janelle.
To that point, I do think in some instances it can be insecurity because they may have either been guilty of it themselves or they may have had that done to them. But I also have seen cases where there's a clear issue with boundaries. Like boundaries need to be
Mm.
established, especially with friends of the opposite sex, and being in a romantic relationship. You never want to make your partner feel uneasy or make them feel like there's a potential or possibility that anything is possible with a male friend and
Mm.
vice versa. So I think it's important to establish boundaries, one. Two, I think it's important to help to foster that friendship between your significant other and their friends of the opposite sex. Whether it's going out in a group or, you and your partner going out with that person to getting to know them. I think that strips away the mystery behind that person, and you become more familiar with that person and therefore more comfortable. So I think it's up to the partner as well to ensure that they foster the relationship that they have with their friends and incorporate it with their romantic relationships. So there's no secrecy, there's no mystery, there's nothing at all to go off of.
True. Just want to highlight a comment here from Cherise. Good night, Cherise. How you doing? She said, good night. I think it's possible, but it's extremely important to have boundaries, especially if you're in a relationship. Boundaries should definitely be discussed and mutually agreed on. So,
Definitely.
night, Khadija. She's saying yes, she can. How you doing? She said agreed. Soy. So Trey, yes, you can let us know what you think. I know you have a lot to say. I know you have a lot.
I'll,
Yeah,
I'll try to keep it concise.
yeah.
I want to I want to slightly play devil's advocate here. To
Mm,
Janelle's earlier point, yeah, it is insecurity. I can admit that because I've been that guy that I'm in a
mm,
relationship and I have that insecurity. But part of the reason why I've had that insecurity is because I'm a man, and to an extent, I know how men think. So I know that if you are in a close relationship
mm,
with a girl, sorry, if you have a close friendship with a girl, then it's like I know that there's like 80 to 95% chance that you have an ulterior motive there somewhere. So it's like, you know,
Bam.
I'm glad
Huh? Yeah,
you
no,
get
no,
what you
I
say.
definitely agree with Trey. Like,
Yeah.
guys have an ulterior motive. Like, I can tell you all for sure.
Mhm.
The few female friends that are in my life, or I've never had an ulterior motive with them. And the others that are gone, I have had. Like it's always, I wonder if I could. You understand? So like it
Yeah.
happens. It happens a lot. You
Yeah.
would try to keep it as platonic as possible, but like it's just be hoping for opportunity at some point.
But in
So
response to that, I'm going to say that is the point to which you should know who your partner is. Because with me, nobody is getting close to me. So if you
it's
are
true.
worried about that, it should be the fact that you don't trust the guy and not that you don't trust me. Because the moment I catch a vibe, I am going to shoot it dead. And it's not
Mm.
even like it's just an automatic reaction because I'm going to be like, do you like me? Because I feel like you like me. And then that immediately puts the guy on the spot because he's trying to be sneaky, but he was sussed out. And I pick
Okay.
up these I pick up these things and I just expose them, and then it's awkward for everybody. So that's
Okay.
just what I
Yeah.
said.
Okay. But Vanille, you gotta remember too that not every girl is like you. Not every girl is discerning
Thank
or as
you.
That's why I
straightforward.
Exactly.
said if it's
So for the
me
girls
and
that
know your partner.
oblivious and like to be oblivious and that
Uh-huh.
just trying to play off everything and just keep it like you just overreact and all blah blah blah
I was
and
thinking the
really
same.
like kind of entertain um that kind of attention. What you know that I think that's really issue occurs and that's what increases that the guy's insecurity. So then it's be
If
like,
she's oblivious, she's not entertaining it. Entertaining implies that you know what's going on and you are creating an
well,
Exactly.
yeah,
environment for
well,
it.
yeah,
Right.
But if
true.
she's
Right.
oblivious, she's not entertaining it. And if a man brings it to her attention and she decides to still play chupity, that is on her. And he and she need to have a serious conversation about why she don't respect his
Mm,
feelings.
Mm. Right.
true.
Glenn, if you recall, withdraw. We lost the
Yeah,
point.
you
So let
understand?
me. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well played. Well played.
But
But yeah.
to Neil's point, I do think that there are, I guess it depends on your mindset. If you, as the female in a relationship having a male friend, doesn't consider your male friend in that regard, you're not necessarily looking, right?
Right.
Maybe these signs or the secret moves may not be as blinking or as obvious as in other scenarios. But also to your point, if at the point in which your partner, and hopefully they're not saying it from a place of insecurity, but they genuinely feel like there's some ulterior motive, if they bring it to your attention, then yes, by all means you should consider that, okay, maybe it's this way for me in that I'm not attracted, I'm not trying to entertain anything, but my partner clearly sees a different side that I'm not seeing, and maybe I should step back a bit because it could go left.
Right. Yeah,
Good point.
that's fair. That is fair. So we understand our boundaries need to be set for sure when it comes to these platonic relationships because as research shows, and not just my opinion, that I've been saying for years, that men are usually ones who are more attracted when it comes to these friendships, these male and female friendships. So guys, just establish those boundaries as early as possible. You don't want to leave that space unless that's just you, and something happens when it really shouldn't, especially if you're already in a relationship. But I guess that kind of segue into our next point was what they do for you, they can do to you. So we know of instances where people would be in relationships and you know that this girl in a relationship and she start messaging you, but you don't know. You might not know that she's in a relationship at that point in time, but y'all start talking, and then it's like, well, she's in a relationship, but you want to get in a relationship with she. You don't want to necessarily be side man. You want to be in a relationship with this person. So when this person leaves their man for you, you gotta realize in the same way that they leave their man for you, they can leave you for another man. So then it's
Speak on it.
like, in
Speak
like,
on it.
not like, and these are things that sadly people just gotta learn the hard way. Like,
Yeah.
if that person can't respect their relationship at that point in time, there's no guarantee that they will respect the relationship in you and them. No guarantee.
Yeah.
So that there is a red flag straight off the bat. Like, you might feel good in the moment, that this person talking to you feels sweet, feel nice, but you gotta know that this is not something that is going to end well, in the long run. So yeah.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know where to start. All right, let me defer to one of Janelle and so and then I will hop back on later. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Wait, what are we commenting on?
What they do for you, they can do
Oh
to you.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So again, like this is the rule that I live by, transparency, and it gets really annoying because sometimes I am like too transparent. But if I'm in a relationship, and well, the first thing that I do when I'm in a relationship, I don't venture out looking for new friendships, if you get me, with the opposite sex. And you could see me online being my internet clown self, but when you slide in my
Yeah,
DMs, I am drier than cricks because I don't want to speak to you.
Chris.
So if it's the case where I see somebody and I'm like, this person has a really good cool vibe and I can really see us like getting along really, really well, I just kind of stay away from that person because I'm just like, it may not be that either of us have intentions, but
Mm-hmm.
the more you talk to them and the more you emotionally invest into that friendship, it could easily turn into something else. And the worst thing is to get your emotions tied up unintentionally. So I
It's
just be
true.
like, big
Yeah.
on demon. I just run. But then but then if it's the case where something else happened and then it couldn't be avoided and then feelings start developing, I just cut that person off. And I tell my significant other, okay, this is the case. I started feeling a type of way and I started catching a kind of vibe, and
Mm.
that was not my intention, but you should know that I disregarded this person out of my life, so don't invite them to stuff anymore.
Mm. Well,
That,
Yeah,
that
just be straight
transparency
up.
is key. Transparency is key, for real. Especially
definitely.
when you're the person who is entertaining the person on the outside. That being able to talk to your partner about that is a whole another level of maturity right there.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah.
sure. That was very commendable, Janelle.
Yeah.
Honestly, that is. Yeah. I don't know though. I guess I don't have anything too elaborate to say on it. I just always tell my boys, avoid women in relationships. Like, even if the relationship is patchy, like, just don't do it because the next day she can post a demand with hearts, and a couple of weeks down the
Correct.
road she may post a couple.
Back at
Like,
it again.
exactly. But like seriously though, like Glenn said, you don't really want to commit to someone who has left someone and like disrespected their relationship like that because more likely than not they will do the same thing to you. Relationships
Yeah.
don't magically change people, and relationships aren't a cure for infidelity. In fact, infidelity technically happens because of relationship. Well, there has to be a relationship for it to be infidelity, if you get me. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that you all have covered everything. On the issue of actively seeking friendships while in a relationship, that is a red flag, folks. It's
Mm,
a red flag. It's not something that you should be doing. Now, it's not to say that, within your workspaces or within church or within, social settings, you may
mhm,
not necessarily meet someone and, you genuinely click,
mm,
right? But in genuinely clicking or connecting with that person, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to pursue it further. Um, I don't think there is a need to be seeking friends actively outside of your partner. It's not to say that you would not have friendships outside of your partner, but certainly you have to be careful because at the end of the day, you're going to have to get to know that person. You're going to have to ensure that you know their intentions are pure and all of that jazz. So
Mhm.
Yeah,
I personally would leave it alone altogether.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
and yeah. Go ahead,
yeah.
Trey.
Just to quickly, just to piggyback off of that point. Or anyways, you know what I mean. But sometimes it's so much not the person is looking for like a friendship outside of the relationship. Sometimes it's like they're looking for something outside of the relationship. And what I mean by that is like a friend of mine gave this really good analogy. Is like, we all have like these checklists for what we want in a partner, and honestly, it's very rare that you're gonna find someone that checks off every single item. So say you have a partner and that partner is like 70% of your checklist, but then a part of you, you're missing that 30%. Even though you have like 70% in front of you, is like a part of you is still thinking, but what if I had this 30%? And then sometimes that's where that searching begins to happen because you're looking for that 30%, and you might end up finding that 30% in that friendship, and then you become so infatuated with that 30% that you begin to pursue it outside of your 70%. Everybody following, right?
Yeah.
I get you. I get you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But
essentially.
um, oh, I was about to say the problem with that trait is
Hmm.
you're always gonna meet or there may always be someone who
Hmm.
who has more if whatever your priorities are. I'm not this is not reflective of my of my
Let me
but
just
there's
zoom in
always
there.
going to be someone who seemingly have it more together, whether it's
Hmm.
career wise, finances,
Hmm.
whatever it is that they're doing, they
Hmm.
seem to be thriving more. There's
Hmm.
not a shortage of those examples, but being in a relationship certainly and by all means should count for trying or wanting to try or wanting to be with that person.
Hmm.
So it's not to say that I am discrediting your point. I do believe that is what happens, but
Hmm.
it's important to also remember that as long as you're looking, you're always going to see something that may be more appealing.
Yeah. The
Very
only
well
thing I
said.
would add to that is that relationships, like people are not static, people are dynamic. And
Mm.
once you are in a relationship, you grow separately, but you also grow together. So you have to trust that, like, one of the things that I really appreciate in a partner is that um, the ability to learn and be teachable. So
Hmm.
it's not that this person is like set in stone. Over the years, sometimes they begin to show signs of developing traits that perhaps they didn't have before, traits that you
Hmm.
also appreciate. So sometimes
Hmm.
that 70% can upgrade into like a 76. And
Mm.
if you're committed
Ah.
to somebody, you shouldn't be looking for anything else. Like you should respect them enough to either stay by yourself if you have wandering eyes,
Hmm.
or dig out your eyes because they are offending you and limiting your progress in life. So,
No,
like,
there's
no,
a
sometimes
quote.
you have to be extreme.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's true. There's a quote that I remember all the time. Wandering eyes lead to a wandering heart.
Ooh.
That's
Yeah.
something I just remember. But yeah, in response to Trey, like your friends, that's why we have friends. There was a video I would have shared with you earlier. We're actually going to leave this video in the description when this live is posted for everyone to watch it. Is from the School of Life. But like you need a circle that can offer you so many different traits. You might not find every single thing in your partner, but that doesn't mean that you're actually searching for it in other people. But you might be blessed to get it with your friends. But it might not. Just make sure it's not something that you need in your relationship and that you're lacking, because that is a whole other problem. When you're actually lacking something that's very essential in that relationship and trying to seek it in a friend, like going to create a problem later on down the road. But that's why we have friends, and also, and by extension, when we're in relationships. But now that we talk about friends and relationships, now, how do you guys feel about when it comes to venting or sharing details? Venting to friends when in relationships, sharing certain details, like where do you draw the line? And everyone in the comments, you can let us know. Where do you draw the line when it comes to venting to your friends? And we did a poll about this, and listen, the responses were varied so much. There were literally too many responses. Too many responses, guys. But thank you very much for the contributions. But yeah, like, is it okay to talk to your friends about your relationship problems? Essentially. So everyone in comments can let us know, and I want to hear from you guys. But personally, let me just start. Personally, for me, to an extent, for me is always to an extent. I mean, you would always want that second opinion, so to speak, and you might not necessarily want to go for the counselor just to get a second opinion on something right there. And you might have a good friend that you could trust that wouldn't go blabbering your information. And like, sometimes you might just want a second opinion on something, but not to say that you go spilling all your business to your friend about your relationship, and then like that kind of hangs on them. And so it's always to an extent. So, and friends can really help you. And this is the thing, people, you can look at it in a negative way or a positive way, because sometimes friends just help you get out of relationships that you need to get out of, that are extremely toxic, and like you're really ain't doing nothing for you, right? And then your partner is just want you to get rid of these friends, but your friends are really trying to do you, and then you end up turning against your friends that are actually there for you. And so it could be Jadine is saying is a no for me.
She seems pretty adamant.
I guess
as much as possible. But
oh, sorry, I thought you were finished.
Yeah, no, like, I would say for me, like, nah, I want to go, like, and I've made mistakes in the past, trust and believe, where I have vented a bit too much to my friends about a relationship, to be honest. And again, I quite trouble for that. So yeah, I know that deal with the problems yourself. But I guess what happens too, right? What happens too for me, I was struggling mentally, like, very seriously. And first, my partner wasn't understanding what was going on. They couldn't help me. They actually were making me feel worse. So then it was like, you understand? So it's like, who do I even talk to? If I can't talk to you, who do I even talk to right now?
Yeah.
My good, he passed, I'm going to tell you to talk to God. But if you ain't spiritually there, you understand? Now, what's going to happen? Who are you going to talk to? Yeah, so for me, that's weird, having a reliable, and that's where we establish that type of friendship that you need to have, so you can know you can actually talk to this person in our previous life, the company you keep. So you want to make sure that person is actually a trustworthy person and unbiased person, right? So for me, I had to talk to somebody because I feel like I would have gone mad, I feel like I would have gone crazy or whatever. And it actually helped me see the relationship from a different perspective as well. Because I've had friends who, I say friends, but it just be one or two that I would, but who would, they're like not always in favor of me, So it's not like, Glenn, like she doing foolishness, or they say like, Glenn, you doing a beer job. Like, you should have even telling me this. Go and pray, go talk to God, go seek counseling or something. Yeah, so like, and I appreciate those kind of friends who could be very unbiased and they might not necessarily know my partner that well, but they know when they're doing foolishness or saying foolishness. So I could appreciate that. But they just saying, tell them the problems and they remember what your partner did better than you.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh,
True.
I guess I was just
But
anxious to get in
yeah,
there.
you guys can go ahead. I've been rambling, sorry.
I am conflicted. Honestly, I'm conflicted. I do acknowledge that you need to have someone that you can vent to. And I'm using vent very loosely here, right?
Mm.
You need to have someone who you can talk to. I mean, as with everything else in life, you're not necessarily expected to go through your struggles alone. But it becomes sticky when it's a romantic relationship and these are like intimate details. Now, as much
Yeah.
as I'm conflicted, and in the same breath, I acknowledge that sometimes your partner might not be in the headspace to talk about it, and you need to talk about it. You find someone who is trustworthy. I think, in addition to that, you have to, if possible, there should be someone who is a mutual friend. And the reason I would say someone who is a mutual friend is that you don't want there to be a clear bias, right? And
Yeah,
obviously,
that's
if
true.
you're venting, it's not anything that's positive. And you don't necessarily want to, if your partner does not have the same sort of friendship or relationship with that friend, you don't want that to be all that they know about your partner. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't
Mm.
want that to be
Mm.
what
Mm.
processes that they form of that person. So anytime I need to, have a third party or vent, it would always be with someone who knows the both of us. I think that sort of eliminates as much as possible the bias. Because if
Yeah.
you're aware of who my partner is and you're aware of me, and I tell you what the situation is, then you could better be able to weigh both sides, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but I think it goes back to preferences. I think it is something that for some it's a deal breaker, and for others, having that person to vent to is completely fine. So I guess it depends on your
Yeah.
relationship and what works for you.
Love that, Soy, and I'm going to piggyback because that is so true. Like, I have two friends. I'm friends with a couple, and sometimes they do like a FaceTime group call where they both ask me about a situation so that I could be an unbiased third party. And one of the rules that I have with my friendships is that if either one of them comes to me separately, they can vent, but the moment it moves into slander or telling me something that they shouldn't, I would shut that down immediately. I mean, thank God they're not that kind of people, so like it never gets there. But I just have that you are not allowed to slander your partner, who is my friend to me. I will not entertain it. But then for me personally, I don't
Tennis.
I don't like to go running around talking about my relationship because I over the years I have come to realize that is me looking like Boo Boo the grand old fool when every minute I'm like,
Yeah.
this man is cabbage. But then Sunday we hugging up and so
What?
everybody's like, that's not the same tongue rat she been talking about the other day. So
Mm.
I've learned that that behavior is damaging to myself, but I have also been in a relationship where my partner was the one have our business skin out on the road for everybody, and I was just like, sir, what are you doing? Like, and that was very irritating for me because I'm a very, like, I might be, how to describe myself, I feel like I'm a private person because I'm very selective about what I share, and I can't deal with everything being out there. So then I wouldn't even do that to somebody else. The most my friends would know that all of my partner's amazing traits because I have this thing where I can't shut up. So I would just be like, "Oh, he's so amazing. Like God's gift to me, not women, me." And but then when it comes to issues, if it's something that we can't talk out amongst ourselves, then what are we going to do? I think that maybe you need somebody who is not a pair. Maybe somebody who is like, for example, my brother-in-law and my sister. Like they have some experience in terms of marriage counseling and stuff like that. So I would more so, if I need somebody to talk to or to get some wisdom, I would go and seek from their endless gauntlets instead of a pair who could easily even weasel their way into the relationship, because some people looking to take your man. So
It's
you
true.
can't go and be telling them, yes, sis.
Oh boy. Right. But okay, so then is there a difference when you're sharing with someone of the opposite sex? Does that make you raise an eyebrow even more if they're sharing with someone of the opposite sex, or not really?
It depends on what it is.
It depends.
It depends. Okay.
Yeah.
Because then, it could be a case where that person be like, all right, they're having problems. Nice.
Exactly.
So
my time now.
So right, and then their advice would be so rigid, and it would just have you turning against the person. Like, we know so many cases of that. I don't even need to get into that. Like, that happens a lot, and that's really why like people need to stop going everywhere with the information and just talk to the partner. If you can't talk to your partner, believe in God, right? And not get a therapist. Either way. But yeah, like try to talk to your partner as much as possible instead of going to someone. I know there's situations. Yeah, please don't go ranting on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else about your relationship. Please, please don't do it. Don't do it, please.
I've gone past that. I can say I'm a living.
You just put out them little statuses and make them little hints, or put these quote from certain song, a rapper that was here recently.
I swear,
they just post them on Twitter,
for them. We do not look for them. They just show up. I promise you, we do not look for those quotes. They just show up.
You just find them at that time when you're feeling extremely emotional, like then Tumblr quotes and then like tweets and stuff like that.
Yeah,
just drop on the surface.
Yeah. So when it comes to oversharing, you really don't want to overshare. If you're going to talk to a friend about something in your relationship, make sure it's someone that is trustworthy and that you can be accountable to, as Dominique has said. And make sure that's like the last resort. If you realize like your partner just being, you can't even talk to them, and not by you saying so, but you literally cannot talk to them. Whatever you try, and you're trying different methods, you're ready to know it. You're ready to know it, then clearly know. After you send me this note, you cannot come and talk to me straight. Like, if you try so many sorry. Then go cut out when I post the video. But yeah. If you try so many different methods and they're still just being aggressive and miserable or whatever, and they want to talk to someone, just make sure you're not disrespecting your partner in that process as well when you're talking to someone. And make sure it's someone that you can trust and that relationship is genuine, is on my opinion that you're getting. So for that's my takeaway for that. I don't know if you guys have any before we move on.
Just a slight add. Do not let third parties control and run your relationship, and that speaks not just to friends, but let me say mentors. And I'm gonna draw a very specific example here. I see examples where there are actually pastors and church leaders controlling people's relationships, and I promise I'm not saying that all despite, but it's like I've been in a situation where every time my partner goes to a vigil, something in the relationship changing. Like I could wake up the next morning, I guarantee you, I seen a message on my phone. Trey, we can't do this anymore. The Bible says blah blah blah, and it's like it got to the point where I was no longer having a
No,
say in my own relationship,
Trey,
and I was
Trey,
like,
Trey, Trey, Trey. All right, buddy. All
I
right,
want
buddy.
to do a spirit run. Okay.
just wait. I had to get
Get
off
him,
my chest,
Trey, get
but
him.
but seriously though, I'm like, don't let external people
Yeah.
like regardless, like it's good to take advice, but don't let that be the basis for your relationship.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You have to know what's best for you. Because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's you drinking that poison, not them.
Exactly. So
Yeah, I just want to read a comment here from Jadine. I have had too many bad experiences. Found him and his friend talking about her issues in a room locked away, only to later find out she kissed him on the cheek. You see that Judas behavior there? Nah, can't work. Can't
all right.
work. Yeah,
Whoa.
Honestly,
yeah.
that hurt me.
Okay.
That's rough.
Whoa.
Trey, you might get text tonight.
No, but
I
yeah,
don't,
you can't allow your friends to come between your relationships. I remember
yeah.
I was in a relationship this time and I want to boil up no details. But and I
Mhm.
literally turned against one of my closest friends. This was a female.
Mhm.
For no reason, just because of this other person's perspective. I was just, in love, so deeply in love with this person. And like I just followed everything and then say, so I turned completely against my friend. And my friend was just so puzzled. And that relationship ended, obviously. And not for reasons that had anything to do with that, But then it's like, well, they had to literally go back and apologize to my friend, who is still my friend to this day. So it's like you really gotta be careful of both sides, right? Because as I've said before, you you might be in a relationship that you need to get out of,
Mhm.
and your friends are trying, really trying to not that they want you just straight off any relationship, but to seek some counsel and they just want the best for you. And then there are times where your friends actually want to get in between your relationship and control everything because yeah.
Mhm.
So it could
To
go
that
both
point,
ways.
Glenn, I feel like you talked about your partner turning you against your friend. I feel like
Yeah.
anybody who is trying to cut you off from your circle, I feel like they are toxic because
Mhm.
that is textbook controlling behavior. When you
Right.
try to isolate somebody, it's
Mhm.
because you want to be the only voice in their life, and that is
Mhm.
just because you want to manipulate them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Pretty
True.
much.
If we have a comment here saying, listening to this, I'm at a point where single is looking like the safest option for 2020. Unless I have some kind of Joseph and the angel moment, do not be afraid to hear as your wife. Yo,
Time.
y'all want isolation and dangerous.
Mhm.
It's true. Yeah. Thanks, Gabe. But yeah, I had a big talk with my friend, as Mario was saying, like, and I wasn't even realizing at that point in time that was toxic. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, it happens, man. It happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, and one thing I wanted to ask y'all tonight,
Mhm.
in terms of being friends with an ex while in a relationship, um, where do y'all stand on that, or being a close acquaintance with? I mean, I guess you could say a friendly towards as well, but where do you stand on that?
Um,
Trailer, it's
I
changed to
don't
talk. Trailer's like it's changed to talk.
Okay,
I'm
you can
You can go
filtering.
ahead.
I'm
you,
Yeah.
filtering. I'm filtering.
Okay. Please do.
oh,
I
We
need.
get back to you, sir.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I think it's okay to be friendly with an ex.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
have exes who I'm friendly with, but I wouldn't necessarily consider them my friends because when I think of what friendship entails, it's not what
It's not there.
it's just not there, and I think that's perfectly okay, especially for those relationships where you may not have necessarily had like a solid friendship for a number of years. It may have been like primarily like romantic based. I think it's okay to not try to you know form somewhat of a friendship after the fact, but I think it could still be amicable, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think friendship is a necessity in some cases. That's just
Mm.
my take on it personally.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
X is
just to
short for
add,
exempted.
I won't exactly expect. Um, I guess I won't exactly expect someone to remain friends with someone based on their commitment. Is this someone you almost married? Is this like how deep into that relationship were you,
Mm.
Yeah.
so that remain friends after the fact? So I would want to know that as well.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Sorry, you can
Okay.
go ahead, Janelle.
And I was just saying that X is short for exempted for me, because I mean that's what you are after we're done.
How
Because
do you come up with these things? How?
I think it's Vinci blood, to be honest with you.
high
Fancy blood.
five. But like
Yeah,
to
I.
me,
Uh,
there is no reason for you to be up in my face as you were before. Because as I
mm,
said, like I give few people like that kind of access to me. So
Mhm.
like after the relationship is done, I literally go through a purge. I forget everything about you.
Mm.
And I mean, me and your family going to be cool, standard. But me and you, no. Because I even had somebody like trying to message me after the relationship, and I was like,
Like,
especially the terms that you end on. If we did not end on
mm,
good terms, where are you going? Stay away.
where
If
are
we
you
ended,
going?
if we ended on good terms, then
Mm.
fine, but don't message me because I will literally ask who is this because that number is deleted. I will say hi in the streets. I will. I mean, I wouldn't ask how you are because I don't really care. But
Mm.
I don't expect you to be up in my business again, and I'm not going to be up in yours because, as far as I'm concerned, that's done with. Moving on.
Yeah.
right, right, right. And yeah.
And I very much agree with what Janelle said, especially in terms of it being about the terms that you two ended on. Like, for me personally, I tend to burn bridges. It's something I'm working on, but as I am right now,
Yeah, man.
like,
Look.
no, honestly, I can only think
Yeah.
of one ex I am genuinely good friends with. Like, we're cool, but all the others, no. So that wouldn't be a problem for me. But generally speaking, if it's a case where, as Dennis said, you can establish boundaries and say, you know what, this is a friendship. We're not revisiting. We're not thinking, what if things had gone differently? Then, yeah, but you still have to be mindful of how your current partner would feel about that friendship as well. So,
Yeah.
It's true
yeah.
because you can't ever be 100% sure of another person's intentions, you know. So
Mm,
that's why you need to set those boundaries and have that communication and that transparency between that person and your partner as well.
right. Hmm.
Because I mean, it just sounds bad, but you don't want to know. Like me texting my actual friend just before I go to sleep or say, or hey, on a call with say Sarah, I don't want to hear on a call with Sarah, my ex.
Mm,
Yeah. Like
You
yeah.
understand? It's just I mean with Sarah, it's like what is going on? It just
but
sounds
that's
Yeah.
why
bad
your
like,
partner
off the
needs
bat.
to be honest too. Because if you tell
Yeah.
me you ain't had no problem with that person, in my head, you ain't had no problem with that person. So you better try and be straight.
Mm, yeah. Definitely.
And then when you
Mm.
remain friends with someone, with an ex, it could also lead way for those moments to reminisce on the good old times. You know what
It's
I'm
true.
saying? And that is
Hey,
another. It's
you
another.
remember when we went down to King George National Park and
What's
Good
that?
you,
days.
you, you don't want that to happening. You don't want that to happening. So
That's
Just
That's
yeah,
not a confirmed
be,
location, by the way, people. No,
yeah. It's
I
not.
dead. Look, messy.
But yeah, I just want to read something quickly from Scientific American. It's saying yes in response to this question. It's saying yes, but only if you've been in your relationship for a long time, where you have no feelings for your ex, not even baby little ones, and you're honest with your partner and about your communication. Remaining friends with an ex always is always going to cause some unnecessary drama in your relationship. That's from
Yeah.
Elite Daily Doc. And
Just the fact that you tried to pursue something romantic,
yeah,
it's the
mm,
intention behind it and not necessarily the current status of the
mm. But
relationship.
honestly, though, some people believe in this whole concept of right person, wrong time. So
mm,
then it's like sometimes when there's like that reconnecting with the ex, sometimes there's that lingering thought. This is not me, by the way. I'm just speaking generally, but there's that lingering thought of,
I feel
oh,
attacked.
no, but like, what if this is the right timing, you know? And it didn't work back then, but we're both different and more mature people now. So honestly, from that perspective, I could see an argument of just leaving it altogether. but, but yeah, just leave it altogether if
yeah.
that's the case. So if you still have that curiosity, like just leave it out.
Mm, I kind of see it as a dog going back to their vomit. I think like once I don't vomit, why need to
The
spray that
line
back in my mouth
is so
for?
strong.
Whoa.
But no, but I mean I'm done with it, and I think that
Mm,
women kind of leave mentally first before they physically be like, "I we done." So like
Mm-hmm.
for me, I done astral project somewhere else. Like
Mm.
I ain't
Fair
in
enough.
this anymore with you. So
Yeah.
then, but I did have an instance of that where like I was kind of with somebody and then something else came up. But like I was honest with both parties in that I was like, I am not over this person. And
Mm.
the other party was like, I don't care. I rushing it still. And I was like,
Oh boy.
well, your funeral. So sad, so done. So
Whoa.
it be like that
nah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I could say, we were talking about being friends with exes. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say I'm friends with any of my exes, but I could say I hope we on good terms. Because I mean, I did a lot of foolishness in my relationships, my past relationship. I've been manipulative and some of the worst things.
Oh
In my
God.
last relationship, I did something that I never thought I would do, and it was crazy. But like,
Mm.
even though I would have done certain things. At least, like, I always went back, even if it was years after. It was like, I would just like to apologize because I wouldn't have been mature enough then to apologize the way that I needed to. So I
Mm.
always went
Yeah.
back. I was like, I really not to rekindle anything either. Just a genuine apology and like to ask for forgiveness is if I felt like
Right.
none was given. So
Mm.
like
Wow.
that's something that I've always done because I just want to clear that area. Like even if me and friends after like I really don't care.
Mm.
Just yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
So
good.
now like I always felt it was necessary and I would encourage anybody to do so. Like don't do it just to think that you can try to rekindle something here, maybe just saying to start from this. Like just let it be from your heart and just say what you need to say. And
Mm.
yeah, it's something hard to
I
do. So I
admire
wouldn't
that, but
say
I ain't doing it.
listen, I did a lot of foolishness. So I mean nobody was perfect in the relationship, but I mean I would still apologize
Mm-hmm.
for crap that I did this, especially if I felt like when the relationship was coming to a close that I did not and I just like didn't like that was the end of that. Like yeah, so
Ah, okay.
yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. But we want to get into our poll. We're not going to keep you as long as last week. So, yeah, the first question we asked was, are you comfortable with being partners, with your partners, friends of the opposite sex? No. Our first response was, it's a person by person basis. I trust my partner, but I'm not sure of the other person's motives. True. So yes, because yeah, yes, because she somewhat has boundaries. She doesn't have many either.
Friends are
Like a
boundaries.
blessed man. Huh?
Doesn't have many friends are boundaries.
I would hope friends.
Oh,
No, yeah, I would hope they're friends.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm
This
not lost.
question is
Sorry.
yeah. The next person saying this question is designed to make me sad that I single. Okay, but it depends. In this situation, Trey, was this you that submitted this? The third one?
Oh
Yo,
I done,
no.
man.
yo.
Wow.
Man, the camera going off.
Yo, the man turned off his camera. Okay. Yeah. So in this
Whoa,
situation, there just needs to be
whoa.
boundaries and respect is due. Sure, have a talk after the discussion. Make sure you're okay. Right. Don't have a partner currently, but they don't even care if the opposite sex friend is a best friend. Once you're my partner, I trust you until I'm given reason not
Yeah.
to. Yeah, for the most part, and of course, it's gonna go across. Yeah. So we're gonna get into some red flags. So you guys in the comments can let us know. Sorry, Trey. You guys in the comments can let us know what are some red flags for you. What would you consider some red flags in your relationships?
Mm.
Want to say dishonesty if they're dishonest about minor things. Not having Christ as your savior. This could be just me, but if they claim they're a Christian but don't want to do Bible study with you, or if they're satisfied with being a Sunday Christian. Oh boy,
Hey, hey.
Ooh.
that one hot. Yeah. They're
Ugh.
condescending,
Whoa.
little to no interest in the things that matter most to me. Family relationship is poor. That's true. That's something that people actually need to look
Mm-hmm.
out for. Like,
Yep.
look at how people treat their family
Their
members. Like,
family. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. No,
yeah,
yeah.
sure,
Okay.
sure. Being pessimistic, too friendly with the opposite sex. This was a recent red flag for me
Mm,
because of two past experiences,
mm,
adventures. Right. Continuation here. Any signs of anger issues is a big no-no for me. Calling women out of their names, I guess, yeah, that's pretty rough. Huge differences in values, morals, and outlook on life. I
mm,
honestly always judge a man off his social media. Those Twitter feeds reveal a lot about the way their brain ticks. Always speaking of exes in a bad light, keeps bringing up past experiences with exes. Just
mm,
generally isn't over an ex and past hurt.
mm. Wait, quick question. Um,
Yeah.
I think I missed. When you say calling women out of their names, what I mean exactly?
Um.
Calling them derogatory names.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh. Okay, okay. I wasn't clear. Thank
Dennis.
you.
Yeah. Dennis is saying victim mentality is a big red flag.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
That's
Mhm.
Sure.
true.
Consistent inconsistencies in messaging or calling. Like, see this here?
That's me. I can't lie.
I don't
Nah,
like.
see that messaging thing? Like, it could be rough. It could be rough. It could
Yeah,
be rough.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just move on. Yeah.
Cheated on a previous partner.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, cheated on a previous partner, has no friends, and plays the victim in all.
Mm.
Mm,
I
So I just want to stop at cheating on a previous partner.
Yeah, I want to discuss that. Yeah.
Is it like once a cheater, always a cheater? That
I
kind of
don't.
mentality that people have. Because yeah, you can go ahead, Trey. Go ahead, Trey.
Yeah. I can understand the concern for sure because if they have done it before, they are likely to do it again. But I honestly think if the person has shown that one, they're genuinely remorseful for having cheated on a partner and hurting them, and they've shown a genuine desire to make sure that that won't happen again. I think you could give them a chance. I don't think that once a cheater, you're always going to inevitably be a cheater. You know, if
Right.
that were the case, like, who would be in a relationship nowadays, huh? Like, who would be? But that's just my views. You have to
Mm,
wait in.
mm. Um, I agree with you, Trey. I mean, boy, um, as I was saying in my last relationship, when I said I did something, that I thought, I see you guys responding to me here saying that I was low, but I thought we established that being single is not a bad thing. I thought we established that, so I hope maybe low. Yeah, but anyway, I was
Mm.
saying in my last relationship, I did something that I never thought I would have done. Like, I frowned upon it. So, and that was cheating. So then it was just like to me, I just really looked at myself and I was like, whoa, like,
Mm.
mm, like I wasn't even putting myself out there. I wasn't chasing nobody after that. I literally did not feel like I was worthy to be in another relationship
Mm.
at all. You understand? So like,
Yeah.
cause like, nah, Trey, like it was something I never saw myself doing, right? And I'm not
Mm.
gonna get into the specifics of the situation,
Yeah, for
but
sure. Yeah.
but yeah, and
Mm.
nah, it took a while for me to come back from that. Like I didn't even think that I deserved to come back from that or
Mm.
deserve to be in another relationship after that. Like it was just bad.
Mhm.
But I've learned, and I had that mindset too. Like I will never get into a relationship with somebody that has cheated. Like I can just left that person alone. Them could go and get in a relationship with somebody that cheated, right? Because
Mhm.
fine, but not me and that. But yeah, like that took a while for me to really get past. To be honest, that was rough. But yeah,
Mhm. Okay. No. Thanks for being transparent in that regard.
yeah, no problem.
I can definitely tell that you have learned from that situation and you've grown. So I will use that example to say that Glenn is a testimony, not to sound churchy, but it's like,
Mhm.
But nah,
like,
like guys, yeah, it is.
I
I would
find the
have.
men are awfully forgiving.
And the thing
And
is, yeah, go ahead, Janelle. Sorry.
no, I was just saying that I find the men are awfully forgiving. I mean, I don't like I generally don't really judge people. Like when you come to me, you are coming
Mm,
to me as a fresh person to me. So a
mhm.
million different people could tell me a million different things about you. They
Mm.
don't impact how I see you because I'm going based on our interactions and our relationship.
Mm.
But for me, loyalty is a really, really big thing.
Mm.
And I trust people like without reservation until they give me a reason not to. And then
Mhm.
once they give me a reason not to, it's just like I I almost emotionally tap out.
Mm.
And no matter how much I try to log back in, it's just like wrong password. So I'm just like, well,
Mm.
sorry, I can't do that again. But like I find that my thing was, um, I never saw myself cheating emotionally
Mm.
in terms of like
Mm.
being mentally and emotionally committed to somebody else other than the person I was in a relationship with.
Mm.
So I didn't even know that emotional cheating was a thing until I felt
yep,
that way.
yep.
Mm. Mm. It
So
is. Mm.
I really think that you should just leave people alone. And if they may leaving you alone, they're going along the hard way. But leave people alone if you're still tied up um,
Mm.
elsewhere, because that's just bare confusion.
Mm. Yeah, for sure.
True. Just want to highlight a comment here.
May need to translate some of what you said, but I feel like the masses probably got it.
Maybe got
Oh
the
um,
gist.
no,
Yeah.
sorry, did I go full Vinci?
but if we, like Troy said, were to treat everyone who cheated as unworthy of being in a relationship, then there would cease to be many relationships.
No,
So
exactly.
I do
Yeah,
believe
exactly.
people are capable of redeeming themselves, and they deserve the opportunity to prove that.
Mm.
People
Yeah.
grow and evolve, they may not necessarily be in that same, state.
Exactly.
It's true. Now, like that, like I just thinking back. Sorry, but it was to the point where like I always used to say, if you feel emotionally connected to somebody and while you're in a relationship and you have this attraction towards somebody else and you're feeling that you want to get to know this other person more, like
Mm.
just tell your partner or something, get out your relationship if need be, and
Mhm.
just be transparent as possible. But I couldn't even find myself doing that. And I guess because I mean like there's no justification really. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean you find your own justification because you just want to get away with things, yeah. But yeah, don't do it guys. Don't do it at all, please. Yeah, so we're gonna go on to
Yeah.
the next point. The way they look at me, if they look at me in a drooling way and frequently look at areas below my face, I usually presume their motives are luscious and I'm not about that. Hmm,
I have nothing
red
to
flag,
say.
red flag. Right, so some more red flags here. How willing they are to submit to scripture, how they handle disappointment or disagreement, how thoughtful or selfish they are, how they treat people that are in authority. Second
Interesting.
point was the person never lets you talk. Like they talk mainly about themselves. They don't give room for your views.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't like when a person acts like they really know me early on.
Yes, that part. Mm.
Right, so you
Hmm.
have cheating again, bad relationship with family members, and if you went to 8C, okay. Hearts and Scholars, any Hearts and Scholars people here
Oh
in chat?
no.
I
As
feel personally attacked, but I only met them
right,
for 2 years, so I can take a.
any
I
Hearts
can
and people in chat? That one was directly
Harrison,
for you.
Harrison. They would crucify you if they heard you say
I
Harrison.
really
Trust
like
me.
company at this point. It's
Yeah.
alright. But yeah, the next question was, is it okay to talk to your friends about your problems? We had a lot of responses to this. Just gonna show you guys a few. Mixed view on this one. Sometimes you may need advice from an unbiased, unblended party. So prioritize communication with God and your partner, and if push comes to shove, maybe seek a professional. Also, whether or not it's okay to involve a third party may depend on the stage of the relationship or the specific situation, like abuse related issue. Some things, but in all honesty, if you're going to tell your friends about the problems, that's all they're going to remember. So when you and the person work it out or move on from them, they'll still be seeing them a certain way based on the problems you've told them
Mm,
about.
mm,
Right.
Yep.
Yep. The other person was saying I have a pair system, depending on the gravity, I will talk to certain friends.
nice, nice.
And we kind of covered this. A lot of people feeling attacked here about this ASC thing. Um, Oh, Jadine is saying, I believe they make QC. Nah, y'all.
Whoa. Just
Honestly, I just feel.
whoa.
Okay, keys. Let me just. Okay.
Whoa.
What if the person accusing you of acting like a victim is really the perpetrator trying to make you feel bad about having a legitimate response? Is this not a form of manipulation?
Wait, what
Yep.
if
Yes,
the
it is.
person accusing you of acting like a victim is? Oh yeah. That's gaslighting, right?
Boy, are you
Is it?
sure?
I think it might be enough. That
Might
might be
be.
gaslighting. Yeah.
Yeah, people that are more familiar with these terms could let
Yeah,
us
it
know.
is.
It
So
is.
when
Hmm.
you gaslight somebody is when you try to make them feel crazy about what they think is happening, or you try to always
Mm,
turn the situation around
switching
and make
around.
it their fault or
Yeah.
Oh,
blame them, especially when they bring up something that they have an issue with, and then you
Mm,
just kind of somehow it ends up into them apologizing
mm,
even though they were the ones who had the issue.
yeah.
nah, I'm not gonna lie. I have done that. I have done that.
Right.
Just spin it around.
Uh,
Nah, that is actually terrible.
Yeah.
yeah,
Hey.
honestly, I
That is
just don't get
terrible.
violent over them things.
Whoa. I didn't
Oh,
hear
I just
anything.
want
Like.
to. I just want to. I don't.
No, Janelle, we don't tolerate violence here on LewweChat. We're gonna move
Pray for
on.
me.
Yes, we will, for sure. Yeah, so the other person is saying it depends on how personal or big the problem may be and how often you go to them. Most of the time, I think it isn't, but only if I am about first. I also make sure that I can be able to tell her about it, tell her I did without it being a problem.
Mm.
But if you are going to them in lieu of your partner and then there are some issues you really don't need to take to your friends. Example, I'm sure my best friend experiences issues in her marriage, but I don't know of them. She is only spoken to me about one issue, and it was something minuscule about taking out the trash. Hmm. I think keeping our friends out of our relationships can help preserve them.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Mm.
honestly feel like everyone should have at least one friend that they trust to go to when they're having problems, at least for an opinion. I do agree that you should talk to your partner mostly because it's your problem, not anyone else's. Facts. But there may be a time where it gets to the point where you want another option, another opinion, and it should be okay to ask a good or close friend for that. So yeah. Yeah, and that was the ending of our polls here.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but we had so many responses to these questions, and I just want to thank everyone who would have gave their responses. You know, we do this every week. You're gonna be back next week, and guys, but we ain't closing yet. We ain't close short. You know, last week was pretty long, right? But don't blame me. Don't pelt nothing at me, right? But next
Who
week
should they
we are
blame, Glenn?
actually. Huh? Next week,
Who should they
and
blame?
I know a couple of us are going to be passionate about this topic, but not next week. We're going to be going into church hurt,
Yeah.
right? So you guys, what is going on? Yeah, so you guys want to be in
Woo!
tune for that. We're going to be tackling church hurt, yeah.
Just let me know what
But
points you need to prepare, Glenn, and
I
I will
think
pick it
we'll
up.
need to have you muted for the majority of the discussion. To be quite honest,
But that's not
but
freedom of speech, you know. But okay.
Oh boy. I have a
it
sermon
was.
on that
But
one.
yeah. Just before we close, though, we're gonna leave some takeaways with you, and I'm going to show you tips video. I'm gonna close with the tips video. You know, we always have your tips, and we post them on our Instagram page. We're gonna post them tonight, so you guys can always go back and show the tips on our Instagram. Give us a like and a follow. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share the link with your friends. You can always go and watch this live stream. You can always go back and watch our previous episodes. Remember, our last two episodes, the company you keep. We're talking about having meaningful friendships and how to decipher which, friends you should move forward with in life, depending on where you want to be in life. And then we had Entangled Part 1. You would really see how it gels together and how having that firm foundation in friendship, if you want to pursue a romantic relationship with someone that has been a friend. So you would see all of that. So you guys can go back and watch those episodes. Um, so yeah, just gonna leave you with some takeaways. But before that, Dennis is saying somebody make sure to mute. You understand? We gonna mute Trey next week. Like we gonna mute Trey for the majority section.
Listen. I promise
Yeah,
I will be as impartial to the topic as possible. I
I
will
think we could
conduct myself
appreciate
in
that.
a civil
I think
manner.
we could
I
appreciate that.
promise. I promise.
All right. Keys. Sometimes having a friend to talk to can be your only sanity when there's manipulation involved. Secrecy can mean issue. That's what I was saying. Like when you have that toxic relationship, sometimes like you have to talk to a friend before you go crazy. So
Mm.
yeah. But yeah, to my takeaways for you guys, like know who your true friends are. You're just talking about venting to your friends. Know who your true friends are before you even go and vent to them, and establish boundaries and be transparent about your communication with your friends, or ex if any, if that's your situation.
Sorry?
And yeah, sorry, say something.
No,
Sorry.
sorry.
Oh yeah, so it's
Mm.
okay. I see the video off. Not sure it's happening. we're having some technical difficulties. Yeah. Consider and pursue counseling if necessary, and respect your partner and your relationship. And I just want to leave this last one. And I want you guys to listen carefully. Everyone in comments, you can just listen carefully. Leave people in relationship alone as you would want yours to be left alone.
Yeah.
Because
Couldn't have said it better.
Oh.
No, I said couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, because like I mean, like people could be so alright. I don't care if she got a man. I don't care if he got a girl, and but yeah, they won't want it to happen to them. You know, they would find it so disrespectful and want to go after this person. But I'm saying like, so why the double standard, right? But yeah, those are my takeaways. I don't know if you guys have any to leave. You should. Pretty quiet. I see so his mic is muted.
Yes, she is.
Oh, so y'all really want to keep this episode short?
Throat is hurting, and my device is also dying. So I was like,
oh wow, okay, no problem.
So yeah, we got around.
Yeah, right. So yeah, guys. So we're gonna leave you the tips video. Thank you so much for joining. See you next week. We'll be talking about church hurt, and Trey will you know, me and me are not be a part of the episode next week. So just stay tuned for that for your details. You know, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you next week. We love you so much. Thank you very much for joining. Goodbye. Have a great night.
Bye.
Very, very, very great night. Thank you very much for joining. This was Entangled Part 2. Yeah. We needed to do a part. We just needed to do.
I'm
gonna show you the tips now, guys. So yeah. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.